a world of inequality. And so, what do you do if you have a father who is absolutely empathetic? He's very, very patient. He used to sit with me at the dining table for hours while I finished my meals, and who told you just one thing, that you can achieve everything and anything in this world. So I belong to an army family, army background, and I'm an army kid, and I'm married to the Olives. That is, I'm married to an army officer. And I'm Deepti Sahani, CEO and founder of Mahatattva, an educational transformation company. And I'm not here to tell you a story of valor and grit. My story is about very little things, very small things that matter in life, that there is nothing in this world that a girl can't do. I want to stress on that fact that we can do anything that the boys can. And that was the ethos which was instilled in me by my father, who still is the wind beneath my wings. So, my talk is about integrity and perseverance. It's about small things that were infused with in the mind of this little girl who actually got these qualities, values, and she made sure that they changed her world. And I want this story to be about passion and about building relationships. Married to the Olives, like I said, my husband's an army officer. It meant a lot of things. It has meant a lot of things. I've had hardships, I've had separations, and also, you move even before you start making friends. So when I was in class 10, I reached class 10, I'd already moved 6 schools. So that is, in a child's life, that is quite a difficult thing to relate to, right? To be able to not make friends, to be not able to stay in a place. But this talk here is not about the negatives. I'm going to talk about how all of this, the background, actually got me to evolve. It actually got me to become more agile and face hardships as they come. So being in the army also gave me the most beautiful memories. We've been posted in lovely places and made connects with nature. You just name it and we've seen it, right? We've moved so much. But I remember my mother telling me that this is something you should endear yourself to. But I always told her that I am going to be someone who will be anything in this world but a teacher. I did not want to become an educator because I'd seen her and her life and her hardships and the separations that she had felt. And I wanted to be like in one place and do something which was innovative, creative, and I had that stability. But I got married, like I said, into the army, and I didn't want to become an educator, but here I am, a stalwart for their cause and a front runner for their needs. So, when I entered the classroom, I knew that I wanted to do things differently. I am a reluctant start. I have become an educator, which I didn't want to become, but I wanted things to be extremely, innovative and, out of the box. So I wanted the children of our country. So that passionate, feeling that I had for my country, I wanted to do something for them, for the teachers and for the students, so that they would have the most beautiful education that we can ever imagine. And I tried a lot of innovations in my own classroom, but not only in my own country, I wanted to get the best of the world to this country. So I worked with schools, I made case studies, I did researches, and I also worked with tech giants to understand the pedagogical advancements that the education has made in the world of education. So my journey here, as you can see, was exploring. I wanted to explore, I wanted to see what's out there and then get it back to my country. So but the ethos there was also was even then it was about sharing, right? I whatever little that I learned, I made sure that I was sharing it with my peers. I was talking to them, taking from them as well. I mean, there were so many people I learned from in this entire journey, and I'm thankful for that. But the community that I wanted to create in a school, outside school, was, let's do this together. So there have been a few defining moments as I look back at when these moments were happening. Of course, I wasn't sure that, this is the moment which is going to make this difference in my life. But there were these three or four defining moments that I had. And when I now reflect back, and thank you for making me reflect, because I've sat down and I've thought of these moments. Um, when I look back, there are these moments which very clearly tell me, this is something which led to what I am today. So the first instance was when I visited Leh Ladakh. I was still at the British school as a teacher. We got together as a group and we went to the school called Mahabodhi Residential School. Amazing school. And we were here, thinking we are from this fancy school and we are going to go there and we are going to give professional development to these children. And look at the faces. I mean, they were so peaceful, so serene. And I think on day two, we realized that yes, we can share with them, but we learned a whole lot from them. How they were so concerned about every little thing that they did. What impact did it make in their community, in their ecosystem? So they are so giving. So this is something which impacted me a lot. That was my first impact. The second defining moment that I had in my life was when, for 3 years, I worked in Bhutan, and these are the kind of people who, in the country, they believe that their values and culture can't be compromised. That is something which is a non-negotiable. You do what you have to do in your life, but your culture should remain. And I love the way the present king, when he, in his coronation speech, he said, I will always serve you. The humility in that speech was that I am there to serve you. And the well-being and, the interest of the children is always on his mind. And I love that word, I will always serve you. So that was and the other defining moment. The third defining moment was that 8 years ago, I realized the potential that a child has in his own capacity. So I started this project called the Design Thinking for Social Change, and we did a whole lot of projects pan India. And what it showed me was that yes, we are backdated. We are, teaching by rote. We are, there for the children, but we are not doing justice. So because the projects that the children made were phenomenal, they were out of this world. And what it told me was that these children need a platform to be able to exhibit that. And we are not doing that in our classrooms. So the summit actually grew bigger. And as the years go by, UNESCO invited me for my case study, and we actually presented in Vizag. The summit found its way in the world, and it went on, and it got bigger and bigger till the COVID hit us. We've not had a summit post that. But I think what was the primary sole highlight was towards the end, just before the pandemic happened, we actually got a lot of leadership, policymakers all together and talk about it. And this is something which was really a triumphant moment for us when we could get people to talk about it and realize that yes, we need to make these changes. And I think the fourth and the final defining moment, I mean, my journey is still on, but still now was, when I thought that I have to get something from outside, from the other countries, which is really, really doing well, to make the children self-reliant, self-regulated, give them, instill student leadership. So we had meetings and we met people in Finland, we met people in Singapore, and my own experience of 8 years working with the national curriculum for England, in England and here in India, we went through a number of iterations. We got constructive feedback from people, and very importantly, we wanted to contextualize it to our own country. We wanted people to understand that this is it. This is what we want to do, and we should contribute to that and make it a very, very holistic program. So being in classrooms taught me, what's actually happening. So sitting there, breathing in, finding out, how innovation and entrepreneurship is actually integrated in, school level. So this is year 9. Something as, you pass your year 9 and you get into an entrepreneurial college where you learn about hotel management and being a dentist by actually doing it. So the children are here on the right hand side in a cafe, they're running a cafe while they're studying in school. And everything from the teller to the cook, to the, managing the guests, everything was done by them. And that got them future ready, that got them ready for what they wanted to be in the future. If you see in this slide, what I want to depict is that the whole community gets together. So this is in Tampere in Finland, where, this is an entrepreneurial college, and the people who are doing well in the society, they come back and teach pro bono. So it takes a village, right? We know that everybody needs to get together if we want our country's future to be better. So from these learnings, I think I got, my brain working as to what I want to do. And when I started doing that, my commitments increased. But of course, they were the happy kind of commitments. When the pandemic happened, singularly, I trained 60,000 teachers to get online. And with CBSE and Google for Education, we created a blended learning program which had over 1 million views and 1 lakh certification at one go. So, got people online, got them in touch with the children who were sitting at home and couldn't reach the school for their this thing. So the commitment, of course, when you start thinking about and working about the product or the innovation that you are looking at, people start looking at you for advice, for getting you to understand, become a member of their think tank. And that is just what happened. I mean, people gave me that kind of a leverage where I could do what I had wanted to do. I wanted to reach masses, and in a sense, that's beginning to happen. So from this came this curriculum that we call Create, and Mahatattva's curriculum actually is a skill-based curriculum, and it is an acronym. So we get the curriculum for the children to be connected. So the children have connectedness. They are looking at, how do we reach out? So how do we relate this to our own self? What is the responsibility I have to my learning? So connectedness, responsibility, we look at engagement, authenticity of the learning that we have, the transformation from knowledge to learning, and how do we evaluate that? So this is what actually happened. And I'm so glad that my father actually got to see this curriculum before he passed away. And this is something which came from his inspiration and his, dream that he had for me. And as I said, the project went higher and higher. The design thinking is on the UPenn site now. And that is something which is the only case study from India. I got invited by UPenn Graduate School of Education to be a team member for, the course that they did, online course that they did on innovation and entrepreneurship. So like I said, the responsibility is increased. And this is something which I'm enjoying doing. This is something which is really a passion for me. And, to see that name on the screen where it says India, that still gives me goosebumps. So you have all the people in ASEAN, in Asia Pacific, and your name comes up with the country India written on it. So yes, commitments and responsibilities. We also managed to get the Finnish diploma to India, wherein I had, experienced, and I had got this added advantage of working with different nationalities. I thought getting something like that for the Indian educators would be worthwhile. So this is something which is successfully running. And to sum this all the things up, this is a picture of me at Ravangla in Sikkim, and it says teaching from the heart. That's the pose that Buddha is making. If you have the passion, the empathy, the perseverance to go along, and the integrity to make it happen, there is no way that it won't actually happen. So That's my crux of the entire reflection process that I had. I do have the responsibility of this amazing team that I have, and for the people who are working towards this entire thing. And um, when you really reflect and look at it, you do know that you are doing the right thing, and you have a nice, good night's sleep. And I always believe in this a little saying by Margaret Mead: "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world." Indeed, that's the only thing that ever has. So here I am, a torch bearer for something that I really didn't want to do. I never wanted to be a teacher. That's a humongous task, right? There are 250 million students who need to be trained for their skills. So, how many of you youngsters out here are ready to join this crusade? How many of you are willing to become entrepreneurs to change the country and to change the skill set that our children need, our learners need? And they can be as young as 15, 14, 15. I've seen the potential in today's children. And how many of you are willing to change the world one little step at a time? Thank you.